How He Became a Ghost, Chapter 14, Joseph's Story. I followed Joseph to a small clearing in the woods. Now, he said, it's safe to walk. We have to be very quiet. No one can know where we are, not even the Choctaws. This will be dangerous. You should know that. I understand, I said. Good. The soldiers that took Naomi to a wagon, one of the wagons that brought the blankets into the swamp that morning. Did you take a blanket that morning, Joseph? I asked. I had to know. If he took a blanket, if he had wrapped himself in that blanket, we both might be dying soon. No, he said. I was hunting that morning. When the soldiers left the swamp, they saw me. I had caught 3 squirrels and headed back to camp. I tried to run, but I slipped on the ice. He pulled back his hair. Look at this. Over his right ear was a deep cut. Did it hurt? I asked. Not anymore, but it bled for a long time. The soldiers let me lay there, bleeding in the snow. They made their camp for the evening, and by the time I woke up, they were cooking my squirrels for their supper. Then one of the soldiers saw I was awake. Are you cold, Indian? He asked me. I told him yes. He brought me a blanket. It was one of the bad blankets, the ones that made everybody sick. I would have taken it, but another soldier stopped him. I guess the second soldier saved my life. Wait, the second soldier said, this boy can help us. Let's keep him alive. They threw me in the rear of the wagon. They tied my hands and feet together. If you try to get away, we will shoot you, they said. I knew the time to escape would come, but I wanted to win their trust. So for several days I did everything they asked me to do. I built their cooking fires. If you set me on a rock by the water, I will catch a fish for you, I told them. I can keep my feet tied. I won't run away. I caught enough catfish for everybody. They even let me have a few bites. I was starving. After a week, they started to trust me. I could tell. They let me eat with them. They didn't yell at me in their mean voices. One night after supper, the soldier asked me, do you want to go home to your parents? No, I said. They are fine without me. The soldiers laughed at me. You are so dumb, he said. Your parents are dead. The blankets we gave them had smallpox. It kills. All of the Choctaws are dead, boy. You are the only one left alive. They laughed and laughed. They meant my grandparents, but they didn't know, and that did not matter. They just told me that everyone in my own town was dead, and they were all laughing. Joseph paused. I knew he was ready to stop talking for a while. I knew he was remembering his grandparents, old man and old woman. How did you escape? I finally asked him. I told the biggest lie of my life, Joseph said. I told him, thank you for saving my life. I did not feel grateful to them. I didn't know if I wanted to stay alive or not. I was so angry. I wanted to kill them. Joseph grew quiet. He closed his eyes, and I knew he was lost in his own thoughts. He moved closer to me and put his hand on my shoulder. Can I trust you? He asked. Yes, I said. Why are you asking me that? Because what I'm about to tell you is known by very few people. My grandparents knew, but they kept the secret. I will tell no one, I promised. Then I will tell you how I escaped. The next day, they took me fishing again. They had to carry me to the river. My feet were still tied tight. They checked the rope several times a day. I caught enough fish for everybody and limped back to camp carrying the fish. I also carried something else, a sharp stone. I knew the best time to escape was at night. After supper, I waited until I heard snoring. I had to make sure everybody was asleep. I knew they would kill me if they caught me. I cut the ropes with the stone and I ran. I didn't look over my shoulder. I ran faster than I had ever run in my life. I ran first to the river. The moon shone bright and I could see where I was going. I didn't stop running till morning. Then I hid in the small cave on the hill overlooking the river. They must have followed my footprints in the snow. I thought I were free, but no. I heard the horses snorting below me. Just as the sun was rising, I peeked from the cave and saw the soldiers climbing the hill on horseback. I knew the time had come. My life depended on it. Joseph paused and took a deep breath. I made the change, he said. I made the change, he said in a low whisper. I closed my eyes tight shut. I grabbed my arms around myself. I felt claws digging into my ribs, my claws. I was a panther. I was still myself, but I had the body of a panther. Joseph waited for me to say something. I dropped my jaw. I didn't know what to say. I had heard of panther people, but I had always thought that those stories were not real. When he saw, I believed believed him and continued. The soldiers rode closer, almost to the mouth of the cave. I saw them reach for their rifles, and I knew I couldn't wait any longer. I leapt from the cave and knocked the soldier from his horse. I stood on my hind paws and waved my claws at them and growled, and I showed them my sharp teeth. They froze just for a moment, long enough for me to jump back into the cave. "Let's get out of here," shouted a soldier. "If that boy is in the cave, he's dead by now." They turned down the hill and rode away. I waited till dark. Then I ran some more. I ran like only a panther could run. I didn't know where to go. I only wanted to be as far away from the soldiers as I could get. I was so afraid. That night I dreamt about my grandparents. The next day I became myself again. I stumbled through the woods to the road. I saw the wagon and the Choctaws walking ahead of me. I followed behind, into the woods. I have been following the Choctaw walkers since that day. "Is that how you found Naomi?" I asked. "Yes, I walked up and down the trail, hiding in the trees. I wanted to be able to see the soldiers before they spotted me. I knew they would kill me on sight. One night, I located their wagon and I crept close. They were all sitting around the campfire laughing about the dumb Indian boy who that thought that he could get away. He ran right into a cave of a panther, they said. By now that panther is gnawing on his bones. I ran to the rear of the line. I followed the shadows of the woods. No soldiers knew I was there. Of course, some Choctaws saw, but they said nothing. I walked close to Gabe and Ruth's family long before you came. They had two daughters, as you know, little Nita and her big sister Naomi. One morning, the soldier who had caught me into their camp. You know what happened next. They took Naomi. They told Gabe and Ruth that they would take Nita too if they tried to get Naomi back. So now that Nita is gone, I said, they can't hurt her anymore. That's right, said Joseph. We have nothing to fear. He smiled when he said that. Of course, we had everything to fear. The soldiers could kill anybody they wanted at any time they wanted. But we didn't fear for Nita. She was a ghost. She could take care of herself now.